Coming at you full-fledged. It's your boy Rage Man Reg with another video for y'all, man. Welcome, YouTube. In the world of professional wrestling, we have tons of astounding in-ring action that causes many to claim the content is the best ever currently. Now, if you're a long-time wrestling viewer like myself, you know that it's a puzzle piece that must be completed to make this medium that is sports entertainment whole. First, something that's completely gone: in-ring psychology. Gone are the days of a 10 count in the middle of the ring to give fans some time to grasp what they just saw and anticipation for what's next. We have injury inflicting spot fest. Now, signatures are practically transition moves, and finishers are simply a spammed tease to an underwhelming roll up, or if all fails, the creative cowardice of a DQ finish. In this video, we highlight the masters of the microphone. 10 people in the company that now paint a picture, an intriguing picture, in the builds to their matches. So, starting off the list at 10, we got NXT women's wrestler Jada Parker. Now, I don't know when exactly Miss Parker debuted in NXT, but I do know that the faction she's in, OTM, Out the Mud, was initially led by Reggie, aka Scripps, and that didn't work because he's now out of the company. Now, Bronco Nima and Lucian Prince haven't got a necessary push, but Parker has kept them afloat since Reggie's exodus, in my opinion. As far as her promos, in my view, they're the best of the entire women's roster. The components I compliment on with her promos is the confidence, the flow, and the fact she always has a direct, coherent approach. Although her biggest programs have been with Michin and Lola Vice thus far, it's that good. Now, if that's a reflection on all the other women on the roster, on every other roster in WWE, I'll leave that up to y'all. Moving on to number 9, we have Karrion Kross. Now, this may confuse many, but let me provide my reason why. Let me ask some questions. Does Karrion get himself over by adding to the little on-air opportunities given? Yes. Yes, he does. However, I frankly believe we've seen enough. We haven't, seen enough material on the main roster to rank him any higher. His return, when he confronted the Bloodline, was interesting, I must admit. But outside of that, there really hasn't been much. Karrion Kross can be credited, though, for his character motifs, like him being the catalyst or mental seed that was planted in the minds of several faces over the years that eventually turned. Now, with him at one time, recently, or still maybe, I don't know, leading or being a leader in merch sellers, the question must be asked, will TKO decide that he isn't worth investing in fully? Because from what I've seen personally in his promos, which are great, I do believe that he is the modern day Sean O'Hare, the devil on your shoulder that he calls himself. I do think he's that. I personally was a big fan of Sean O'Hare, but I don't necessarily see the translation and in-ring excitement, which is kind of crazy when you talk about those two. That's a crazy comparison between Karrion Kross and Sean O'Hare because they do have similar uh characters. Uh Karrion Kross is the devil on your shoulder, as he calls himself, and Sean O'Hare was like the devil's advocate. And their issue is both of them. I see that their in-ring work didn't match with their gimmick. Now, on Karrion Kross's end, I personally think. Now I know. Shout out to Black Couch Booking. I know he's a fan of Karrion Kross. I am too, but he says that Kross had a great run in NXT. He came back from an injury and won the title right back. That's how invested they were in him. He was a killer in NXT, but I personally haven't seen it so far. And with Sean O'Hare, he was just like 6'5", 6'6". He's like a wrestler of now, doing what he was doing. He was doing swanton bomb, springboards, like all kind of athletic stuff. And he was supposed to be super menacing, but it really didn't translate. So they kind of gave up on him quick. But we'll see what Karrion Kross, if Karrion Kross could remain in WWE and advance up the list in due time. Now, speaking of excitement, we have number 8, Tricky, 2 brands, Trick Williams. Now, I must admit that I wasn't that sold on Trick Williams just yet during his first NXT title reign. Not until I saw the work he was doing alongside Ethan Page did I believe his potential as a leading force on NXT, the face of NXT. Of course, William lost the title to Obafemi, who had a bit more momentum on the heel side. Trick was even overshadowed by TNA wrestlers. To his credit, though, with his improvising crowd engagement as well as the in-character rap disses, I ain't never backing down to it, never showed. Like, come on, man. He got a YouTube channel making a bag off this too. So come on now. That's creativity. He was able to transfer all of the stuff he built as a face into a successful heel run in which he is now carrying still NXT as the face, not a face, but a heel. And it's the world champion of TNA. He's the face of WWE's developmental brand and the world champion of TNA. Now, although I have certain reservations about this quote-unquote partnership up to this point between WWE and TNA, for the career of Trick, that's a plus, no doubt. Number 7 has to go to someone who, since their very first appearance on the main roster, not NXT, has been one of the more engaging superstars and as a heel. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Chelsea Green. I wasn't even about to try that. I wasn't even about to try that. I wanted to. I wasn't even about to try. I had second thoughts. Owning her skills for nearly a decade on the Indies with her former WWE superstar husband, Zack Ryder, aka Matt Cardona. For Chelsea, that's the best of both worlds. Why? Because she learned over time how to work a more quote unquote sports entertainment style whilst being able to rough it up a bit for a more of an indie-rific style that hardcore fans may like. Because again, you see, while she is a good heel, they do boo her. Fans cheer her too because of her great work in the ring. Not she ain't a technician, but she good. She can rough it up for sure. If they did intergender matches, Chelsea could be in an intergender match. That's what she was doing on the Indies, and that's worked for her thus far. While her feud with Michin was a bit long, it did have highlights. They had a dumpsters match. The women had a dumpsters match. When the last time we seen a dumpsters match? And while it's looking like the same instance with Zelina Vega and Chelsea's Secret Service, I understand how you want to build. Whoa, hold on. I understand how they trying to build Zelina Vega, but they already have Julia. So cross that out. She beat Alva Fire. She just beat Piper Niven last week. Zelina did on SmackDown in a no DQ match. So I believe it's time to move forward. I understand that you want to build the mid card, the women's mid card, but in my opinion, again, it's time for Green to get in with the real stars. I've mentioned how she has the ability to carry matches and even feuds in the stream with the family, in the last stream with the family, I believe. So why not add that dynamic to the main event scene? Come on now, let's do it. Number 6, despite my claims of Miss Jada Parker being Ms. Master on the mic and Chelsea Green being the most engaging wrestler on the entire roster. Ahead of them in terms of promos in WWE today is the current Miss Money in the Bank, Naomi. After getting some well-needed time away from WWE, to a lesser extent, but not less impressive, Naomi gained similar skills Chelsea Green has acquired. In reality, since she's been back on WWE television, she's been a consistent figure ever since returning in the 2024 Royal Rumble. Now, alongside Bianca Belair, she can be credited as well for the development of Jade Cargill. Tiffany Stratton, because let it be known that she was Tiffany Stratton's first feud as well. Then she went on to win Money in the Bank. She was pairing up with Nia Jax. Then she went right on to quote unquote main event status. Now, if how Tiffany's turning out now, if that could be credited to Naomi, I don't know. But even with that poor feud under her belt since returning, the Goddess of Glow has established several residual feuds this year following the gimmick change and winning the briefcase. She got, and she the best in my opinion so far. I got to really think about this. She got one of the top 5 promos this year in WWE so far. That promo when it was revealed that she did that on SmackDown when Naomi that she said when she called Bianca a bitch. That was amazing, bro. That was great. That's probably one of the greatest women's promos, honestly, in WWE history. And again, another credit to Naomi. The first women's match on the first singles women's match on WrestleMania that wasn't for a title. It was purely for the story. It's many ways you can approach her soon to become true world championship reign. And that's all her work. So I gotta give it to her. 16-year vet. Congrats, Naomi. We halfway home, y'all. Now, this ranking, I find this one to be a bit bittersweet considering his position on the card. My number 5 is Randy Orton. Of course, he made a return in late 2023 after a back injury that had him on the shelf for nearly 2 years. While that's the case, I must credit him for his work during the pandemic. As a heel first, which he turned heel, he was a heel at first, punting Christian, carrying Edge to a decent feud before he got injured, becoming an older legend killer somewhat. Just had a great run that I didn't even see again. Me personally, I didn't watch wrestling from honestly from the pandemic outbreak to SmackDown debuting on Fox, but that's a digression. I did do my due diligence, and I must say I gotta credit him for that. I gotta credit for him that again. He was heel initially, then coming out of that, he turned face. So Randy gotta get credit. He gotta be number 5. He turned face. He went from that good of a heel, to turning face. He took out Matt Hardy, took out Christian, took out Big Show, took out Randy, took out Edge, then won the world title, turned face, elevated Matt Riddle with RK Bro to upper mid-card status as the real life unk of WWE. The grizzled veteran who's seen it all and still has a lot in the tank with a kill switch still equipped. Crazily enough, he carried his match as the face in 2025 in the main event of Backlash. To the point the crowd honestly thought he would win the championship. They wanted to see that. Now, if Randy had a bit more consistent involvement in the main event scene as this version of himself, he may be higher. But in the meantime, he's contending or qualifying to become King of the Ring.